get a dash ice water from that. You live with the lights of blazing and clapping, and you low rider shots and you half tank top. Hey, girl, what that a go on a jam shop? You end up in the pastor man lap. Everywhere you come on a half a contact. All sort of car, all sort of van stop. She used to the church and a Malibu. Till things take a turn out of the blue. New body, new purse, new attitude. Them a say she had the worst from the avenue. Waka waka baby, oh yeah. Uru baby, oh yeah. Corner corner baby, oh yeah. I go tell my mama, oh yeah. I go tell my papa, oh yeah. And I go tell him say, oh yeah. You do waka waka baby, oh yeah. You do uru baby, oh yeah. Baby sawale, sawa sawa dawale, sawa sawa sawale. I shall. All my sexy ladies, all my freaky ladies. She give me back bus whenever we come to the bangos. The way she come, they dribble me sour. Only God who can save me sour. Save me from her body power. Baby, my sweetie 16, but waka waka baby. Uru baby. Corner corner baby. I go tell my mama. I go tell my papa. And I go tell him say, you do waka waka baby. You do uru baby. Baby sawale, sawa sawa sawale, sawa sawa sawale. Ashawo, baby sawale, sawa sawa sawale, sawa sawa sawale. Ashawo.
It's good to see you. You know, I'm just getting warmed up before I start. Let's get warmed up before I start, baby. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Hi, Priestess Jazz. I'm good. How about you? I'm good. I'm kicking it. I'm trying to be good with the energies and flow with them because they're kicking my ass right now. This is like a bumpy ride in the energetic field. And I'm just trying not to fall off. Well, how you doing? Hi, Priestess Jazz. Yeah, man, the energy got me going up, down, back, right. I'm sleeping, I'm not sleeping, I'm hungry, I'm not hungry. Old feelings from the past, they coming back up. It's like everything is just, it feels like you're in the washer and the dryer at the same time. So it's I had to start increasing my meditation, right? More than usual. Grounding more than usual. What else I've been doing? Trying to stay present. That's a big thing. Yeah, it's just like everything is coming up for review. Jazz says, same. I'm trying to break a habit at the same time. That's going to be tough. but it's also the best time to do it because it feels like I'm moving real slow through this energy at times, and then it feels like it's speeding up at times. But it's also a good time to actually get put in the fast stream of things. When it speeds up, if you really have your intentions good in the right place, it can actually speed up the process for you. So it's rough, but it's also, I think it's good. I think it's good. It's a good time to break a habit. You got those fast track moments that could take you somewhere. All right. So today, what I want to talk about. Today I want to talk about anxiety. Okay. On my last video, I went a little into the difference between fear and anxiety, right? That fear is something you can actually experience with your senses, right? All five senses and more, because we have more than five senses. But fear is what you can actually account for with your senses. Anxiety is something that is usually in your mind. You make up a scenario of something that could happen, likely happen, and it's not something that's causing you to be in immediate danger, but your mind has created a scenario that can allow you to feel fearful. So we kind of went into that in the last live. Now in this live, what I wanted to do was get a little deeper into what causes anxiety, but on an etheric level, right? So what is it tied to beyond just the obvious when we get anxiety sometimes? Yeah, definitely. It's you think you just go back one and we kind of went deep into fear and anxiety. And the reason we're doing all of this, the reason we want to shed some light on fear and anxiety is because it's going to block us from our gifts. And the time is coming where all hands are going to have to be on deck, and you got to know your power, and you have to stand in your power so that you could show up for yourself in this world and show up for other people in the way we were supposed to without our lights being dim. And fears and anxiety have been programmed in our way of life forever. And they sometimes linger in the background, and you think you have a handle on it, and they jumps to something else, and you start having an anxiety about something else and a fear about something else. So we want to get a hold of that and put some reins on it, right? And bring it into where we can examine it, find the root of it, and help to clear that so that our path towards our gifts and the best version of ourselves is not hindered by anything. But there's other things that cause anxiety other than just the obvious, right? Anxiety is greatly linked to your empathic and psychic ability. Okay, we're going to touch on that a little bit. So let me touch on the empathic side of it first. So to be an empath, my definition, of course, there's a lot of people that have definitions of what an empath is, but I'm sure a little bit about what it means to me. So to be empathic is to be able to sense and feel other people's feelings, right? To truly be able to sense and feel them. Not just say, yeah, I feel you, but it's just something you say. No, you truly can feel their pain, their anger, their sorrows, their hurts. You can be by yourself, not even in the presence of that person, and you can pick up that something's wrong with them. You could feel when they're sad. You could feel when they're anxious. Your mind tends to think about them if they're in trouble. So there's a kind of this empathic connection that we oftentimes have with each other. And when you're very sensitive to empathic feelings, which means you pick up the energy of other people's easily, if you don't know how to put a guard around that, a gate around that, a boundary that you can adjust when you need to, it can cause anxiety. Because especially in energetic times like this where things feel very, I don't want to say turbulent, but it's kind of like in a state of flux, up and down. It's going to be very hard to handle your feelings your kids' feelings, your spouse's feelings, your people at work feelings. You can't function in a grounded state if you feeling all of them and all of you at the same time. So this is a time where we learn to kind of strengthen the boundaries so that we don't overwhelm ourselves with empathic emotions. And if you don't know you're an empath and you're feeling all of this stuff strongly and you're feeling like it's you, like, why am I anxious, depressed, happy, sad? You feel like you're just going through all these states of being. Oftentimes that causes you anxiety and it's not even you. You're just picking up on the people around you, especially when you link to them in a loving way, like your hearts are linked, your experiences are linked, right? There's tremendous love there that creates a bond. You're going to tend to pick up easily on people's feelings. So being empathic is one of the main causes for anxiety, right? And we'll go a little bit into how you deal with that, but let's continue on. Okay. Psychic ability can cause anxiety. And a lot of these gifts you may have that cause anxiety is especially heightened if you don't even know you have these gifts. But I'm going to kind of break down the psychic or clairvoyant ability so that you can probably see if you fit into that space. So let's talk about being psychic. Okay. Here's a good way to know if you're psychic from my perspective, right? Are you that person where when you wake up and you have stuff to do throughout the day, it already starts running in your head as soon as you get out of bed? As soon as you get out of bed, you're like, okay, I have to do this, I have to do this. And so you start playing it out in your mind, all the things you have to do. So you could even be at home in the kitchen, but your mind is already in the car and driving to work and knowing you got to file these papers, talk to these people. You see what I'm saying? You're here, but your mind is already a couple hours. Some people, you're a couple days ahead. That's how far you're putting things together and planning them. That's manifestation. That's literally what manifestation looks like. So you're literally manifesting when you're able to project your mind to future events and play them out. And then you kind of just follow that path and it all happens just like that. That's a psychic mind. The reason that can cause anxiety is, number one, you're not present. So if you're supposed to be here, you're supposed to be engaged with whatever you're supposed to be engaged with, but your mind continuously is jumping ahead, it could create anxiety for your body because the body loves to be present. There's nothing wrong with kind of peeking ahead, but you got to make sure you come back and always stay grounded within your body and trust that those experiences are going to be okay, right? Because sometimes the anxiety is also with, I have to project that far to smooth out all the wrinkles to make sure that when I catch up to that timeline, nothing goes wrong, right? So that can also be another anxiety that, and it's almost like, no, it's not like you're abusing the psychic mind, but the psychic mind can become hyperactive when you enter into it because you fear not being in control of how things are going to turn out in the future. Right? So then you overwork the psychic mind. And if you have psychic ability and you overwork the psychic mind, that's when you get into some real rough patches where it's like it's really hard now to come out of the anxiety because your gift is constant. You're constantly doing this. This is your default. But to constantly do it in a way that triggers more anxiety for you, now it kind of just puts you in a loop of constant anxiety. So how do you get out of that? Where your psychic mind naturally does what it does, but you have a kind of anxious attachment to it, or you're getting anxious results or fearful results. Now you got to practice being more present in the body. So your breathing is going to be very important. Because the problem with being psychic and jumping ahead and not being present in your body is sometimes we forget to breathe. So you'd be surprised how often you hold your breath, especially if you're planning something out or something feels fearful or anxious. Anxiety can cause you to hold your breath, and you don't even realize how long it's been since you took a deep breath. So those deep breathing techniques will really help to bring you back into your body. Okay? And as you feel more confident with how you plan and how you structure your time, it can reduce the need to jump into the future to plan everything out there. It's like plan it out here in the present. Write things down, take them out of your head. Because the psychic mind likes to work every angle from this space. But to make sure things are balanced, bring the psychic ability into the present by writing things down, especially when the psychic mind goes very, very fast. It can create, project very, very quickly. Write things down, because that also reduces the need for the mind to constantly go in an attempt to remember, right? Sometimes we have so much going on in our minds. We're like, oh yeah, I'll remember that. I'll remember to do that. And then you forget. And now you start worrying about the fact that you're going to forget. So don't be afraid to write things down. It has nothing to do with old age. Okay? It's just about a lot of the abilities we are going to come into are going to require us to have a strategy of how to integrate it so it doesn't overwhelm. And you definitely want to write things down. Goals you have short term, goals you have long term, things you need to do right now, things you could put off for later, and just check them off as you go. And that helps to improve and increase that sense of accomplishment. And you actually get to enjoy those moments instead of just rushing through the next thing in your mind. Hey, Starling. Hey, Antonia. Yeah, I didn't want to write things down for a while because I'm like, man, I don't want to be getting old. Now I got to be writing stuff down because I can't remember nothing. But when you're going to have a lot going on and you're going to have a lot of information coming at you because the floodgates are wide open for inspiration, right? The gates are wide open for motivation. The book you're going to write, the art you're going to create, the business you're going to start with, the website you're going to do, the Etsy you're going to open up. Listen, all of these things come with floods of ideas. And you have to have a system in place to organize all of that so that your manifestation can go down smoothly. Okay? Because we ask for this stuff, right? We want the success and we want the greatness and all our plans to work out and everything. But when we get it, now is the time that we're getting the gems to create that. And you don't want your wagon to kind of fall apart on you because you didn't make space for your gems. Make space for your gems. Create a system that helps you to organize the ideas and flow with them in a way that won't cause you anxiety. All right. So we did the empath and we did the psychic. Another thing that can cause you anxiety is your diet. Yeah. Antonia says, I have notes everywhere. Me too. It's better to have the notes everywhere than the thoughts everywhere. Because when the thoughts are everywhere, and then you put them in the notes, and then the notes are everywhere, then you have all the notes come together, and then that creates either the journal, the book, whatever you're going to do with it, the baseline for your next TV show, whatever. You're condensing it down into literally manifesting it from the spirit realm into the physical. So the minute you write it, you're intending for it to become physical. So that's why it's important to take your thoughts and put them on paper. Because if you want to manifest something, the way you start that manifestation, you have to write it down. That's how you draw it down from the spirit realm into the physical. Start writing it down. But the next thing that's big, especially for women, is your diet. Your diet can cause you anxiety, especially if you don't get enough iron and vitamin D and vitamin C, right? If you don't get these things in your body and you're processing so much and doing so much and working hard throughout your day, and you're not replenishing your body with good food, good nutrient rich food, right? That can cause you anxiety, because that's like you mashing the gas on your car, but you're low on gas, right? And you're just wondering why it won't move, because you're running out of gas. You need nutrients. I don't really like to suggest what people should take, because I think it's important that you establish that baseline with your guidance and your own self-awareness. And if you don't even know where to start, how do I even get into the self-awareness to know what diet is good for me? You meditate and you sit with your guides and you listen. And when you get inspirations and things like that, you write them down. And eventually just ask the question, what's the best diet for me to have the best experience on this journey? And their guides hear you. This is not like something that is made up. This is real communication here. And you might say to yourself, well, how have I never had this experience with my guides? It's like, you probably have, but you didn't notice that that's what they were trying to tell you, right? All the coincidences, all the synchronicities, all of these things are your guides trying to talk to you. The numbers you see repeating, right? The little bird or squirrel or something that keeps coming to your window, keeps crossing your path. The colors you keep seeing. That, look for that familiar thing that's constantly repeating as if it's trying to get your attention. And then when it comes to you, let's say, for example, I've had the experience of seeing the number 3 all over the place. I go to buy gas. The gas was 303. I pump $60. All right. Combination of 3, 6. I get in my truck. I'm about to drive off. It gave me 303 miles. So I saw 303 twice. All right. And then 60 for the gas is a combination of 3s. So I'm like, okay, something's up. The universe is trying to talk to me in 3s today. And I'm like, well, where am I supposed to go with this? Okay, I'm aware that you're giving me a message. Where do I go with it? So then the thought comes to me, well, what exists out there with the combination of 3, like maybe a building or something like that. So I look up 3 towers. Now here are all these man-made buildings that are called 3 towers, and they are giving them names, and they're always naming them females for some reason, right? So they'll give each a name. I'm like, well, I know that every man-made structure is a copy of a natural structure, because we do that. So I said, what are the natural forming 3 towers in nature? And then here comes all this information. Now, this is me actually researching, right? Here comes all this flood of information about structures that are naturally created, be they mountains, pillars, rocks. Nature has just made a tremendous amount of structures in 3s. So that's where I am with it so far, but I've written them all down to research them further. Where is this going to take me? I don't know. But had I not followed the breadcrumb of 3s and 3s and 3s, that energy wanting to be something would have just been sitting in my body creating anxiety. Because once you connect to the stream of consciousness and you start to connect to the creator, God, goddess, the universe, you become a channel to bring forth information. And it's not a job you take and then say, I'm going to sleep on it. And now you're getting all this information and I don't want it. If you've decided to take this journey and walk this path, it's going to require you to follow these synchronicities because you've said that is now the job I want to do. So now nature's universe, God, goddess is going to give it to you. Now you have a mission. You can't say, well, now that you're giving me all the information for my mission, I don't really want it. No, you got to follow through. Now is the follow through. Now is the time to follow through. Or you will be pushed and prodded to no end because you already said you want to do it. Now we got to do it. So I have to follow these things. If I don't follow them, my anxiety builds because that means now I'm not on my purpose. I'm not doing my purpose. So sometimes that's another reason anxiety builds when you don't step into your purpose because something is trying to shift you there, right? You can't hide from it. You can't, if you're here and you know you're here to have a higher purpose, you cannot run, you cannot hide. Wherever you go, your path is going to find you. And if you know yourself, like you know yourself, you know you put a group of angels, guides, beings in charge to push you when you were going to feel like you didn't want to go anymore. You know you would have chosen, really think about it. You know yourself. Would you have come here and now having doubts about your purpose? You don't think you would have put together a team that would make sure they could wake you up? You would have done that for yourself. So now when they're doing that, when they're changing your environment, changing your living situation, changing your spouse, changing your job, don't fret. Because everything is happening to put you on your path and your purpose, or your anxiety is going to continue to just increase. And that's why sometimes it feels like no matter what you do, this anxiety won't go away. Well, look at what it's nudging you to do. It's not just there just to be there, an annoyance. All anxiety shows up to nudge you to either shift your path or look more closely at something in your path. Okay? Big 1111. Yes, it's good to see you. Love source. As if you're talking about the entire path of humanity. Yes. Yes. Your guide said they ain't playing with y'all no more. It's wake up time. Wake up. All right. So we kind of touched on the diet. Make sure you have all the dense nutrients in your diet. And it's not about how much you eat. Nutrient value is not about the amount of food you eat. Okay? Because you ever done that before? You ever had takeout Chinese and you eat that Chinese food and in an hour you hungry again? It's not nutrient dense enough for you. So if you're not eating nutrient rich food, you might find that you have to eat a lot of food. It's not that you're overweight and you just can't put the food down, and some of these things we sometimes tell ourselves, right, to punish ourselves. Sometimes when you need to eat a lot, what you're actually needing is nutrient density. You can find that in the foods that grow in the earth. Start adding those root vegetables to your diet. Green bananas is a great way to get iron. Buy a bunch of green bananas, cut the tips off, drop them in boiling water. They're done when the skin surrounding the banana starts to split open. That's how you know it's done. Keep that, just cook a whole bunch of them, store them in your fridge, and cut them up, on your food and on your breakfast. That's a great source of iron. Excellent source of iron. Sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are a great way to get dense nutrients. Kale. Great way to get dense nutrients. Fruits. Some of us, our bodies respond well to fruit, right? So try to find that fruit that you love, even if you can't find it at your local store. Sometimes there's people that just sell it around the way. Like I can't find good watermelon in the store, but there's people that they set up their trucks on the side of the street and they sell really good watermelon. So if you could find the people who just sell it randomly, because sometimes it's hard to find good produce in the stores. That's why if you have space and you can farm and grow things, start growing something. Use your land. Even if you don't have land, use pots and just start growing something. If it's just some strawberries, whatever it is you love and you can grow, you should be growing it. So spironella, that powder, moringa, that powder, chlorella, those green powders. Yeah, those are dense, nutrient rich. All right. Next, that can cause anxiety. Tight clothing. There's two things with clothes that my guys tell me it can create anxiety, especially for uh, someone who has a lot of gifts. Because remember, when you have a lot of spiritual gifts, you become very sensitive. Not only are you sensitive to people, environments, language, music, lighting, you become very sensitive to clothes, and the fabric of the clothes. I remember when I was little and I had a polyester nightgown, yellow, had some little cartoon character on it. But every time that thing touched my skin, it felt like my gums were burning. And it felt like I had an itch. And I never liked putting that thing on. And I had no clue at the time that what I know now is you just sometimes have a very sensitive reaction to fabric. Not necessarily even just the fabric itself. Sometimes they add dyes and chemicals to the fabrics that you're very sensitive to. Like a lot of fabrics, they actually put formaldehyde in the fabric to preserve it. Did you know that? Formaldehyde that they use to embalm people. They put on clothing fabric to preserve the material. So be mindful especially if you're that person, like after you get back home from being outside, all you want to do is just take off your clothes. You feel like you just want to be out of your clothes and you don't feel good until you have your clothes off or you have loose clothing on, then you're sensitive to clothes and you might be very sensitive to materials. So natural fibers are good. They sell stuff in good luck finding reasonably priced cotton. It's hard to find reasonably priced 100% cotton anything, but the more you can have cotton in the material is good for you. And the more you can wear your clothing loose is good for you. Because now, wherever you have it tight, especially if you wear it tight around your stomach, you're also compressing the energy of the chakra of where you have your clothing tight. And there's chakra points all over your body. So as you're expanding and your chakras want to expand in energy, you're physically sometimes binding them with the tightness and where you have the tightness. So just be mindful if that's you, that sometimes you don't feel better until you loosen something, because sometimes it also prevents you from taking that deep breath. So you're spending your whole time throughout the day taking these shallow breaths because you're so wrapped tight you can't breathe. You're wrapped up so tight you can't breathe. So now your brain is starving for oxygen. And anytime the brain is hurting for oxygen, you're going to experience serious anxiety because it's trying to send an alert to your body to take a deep breath. So anytime you feel anxiety, deep breathing is why That's your antidote. So if you're wearing clothing that prevents you from taking a deep breath, your anxiety levels might spike. So try to wear your clothes loosely and comfortably and beautifully on your body in a way that not just complements your shape and how you want to look and how you want to feel, but make sure energetically it gives you room to move and feel good about yourself. You can have all of those points checked. I look good. I feel good. My chakras can breathe. I can breathe, but I still look good. I still feel good. You see what I'm saying? Whole body. All right. Let's see. All right. So we talked about diet, being empathic, being psychic, wearing tight clothes. Talked about if you're not in your purpose, the anxiety is going to push you forward. Okay. Talked about holding your breath. We talked about being clairvoyant. So, childhood traumas can also, unresolved childhood traumas can create anxiety. Specifically, they told me food insecurity or home instability. So, if you were constantly moved from place to place, you didn't feel like you had a stable home. If you didn't have enough food, right? Poverty was a big issue for you in your life. Anxiety can come from those things because the mind is really deep rooted in that experience without any guidance on how to navigate it when we're younger. And when you're younger and you experience poverty to where you don't have food or you don't have a stable home or you don't feel secure or safe, it's like you're developing all your abilities you're going to need as an adult, but they're not fully developed. So you've never had the full sense of safety, the full sense of security, the full sense of having enough, the full sense that your needs are going to get met. So when those don't get fully developed and now you're an adult and maybe your situation is nothing like that anymore, because those parameters were never met to the full extent, we still operate from a halfway. So your fridge is fully stocked, but you still might have anxiety about not having food, right? And sometimes with that, especially if you're younger and it's an issue with food, how'd they put it to me? Make sure I get this right. Sometimes we can eat, especially if there's poverty. When we don't know if we're going to get another meal, we eat to pack the stomach to make it full because you don't know when the next meal is coming. But when that circumstance changes and you always have access to food, sometimes we can still eat from that underdeveloped, traumatized space where we're eating as if we don't know when the next food is going to be, when the next meal is going to be. But you always have access to food now, right? So that can create issues around eating habits. So it's important to really explore the childhood traumas to see if there are still anxieties attached to how you grew up that would trigger anxiety for you today, even though your situation is completely different. And then you go in and you can soothe your inner child by, when you feel like that, like you want to just indulge in things that you never had when you were younger, and this indulgence might be causing you issues. Now you can go back to your inner child and have a conversation and let them know that things are different now. You have to reparent yourself. You actually have to talk to the space within you that's wounded. Write it a letter, right? I was suggested to do that. It works wonders. If you can actually write a letter to your younger self to explain how things are different now, right? But sometimes it's like that part of us is operating without the knowledge that things have changed, circumstances are better. And we continue on with lack mentality when there is no lack, you see? And then we fail to see how we are abundant now. And then what that helps to do is it releases the anxiety, it releases the depression around these things. And the present you and the younger you can start to heal and see things from the same page. Right? So that's childhood. Okay. Now, what do some of these things lead to? All of these anxieties, right? And for all the many reasons, there's more reasons, but these were the ones that I picked up on. So, what does it all lead to? It can lead to overthinking, right? It can lead to procrastination, and it can lead to isolation. So, procrastination, let me point that one out. How does anxiety lead to procrastination? Because sometimes if you walk into a room and you have to clean the whole room and you're looking at everything you have to do, sometimes you could be so overwhelmed with everything you're looking at that you're just sitting there in the overwhelm of all you have to do and you don't even start. And you're trying to work on, let's say you're trying to clean paperwork over here, but you keep looking at the window over here that needs to be cleaned. And you're like, okay, I need to clean that window. Okay, I need to dust that lamp. You need to stay present working on the paperwork. But there's something else keeps drawing your mind, drawing your attention, drawing your focus. So that can lead to procrastination because in thinking of all the things you have to do, you either move slowly through the thing you have to work on right now, or you put it off to stay mentally busy in your mind without actually physically doing anything. So it can create a sense of procrastination. So it's not that you're lazy or that you don't want to do this or you don't want to do that. Sometimes anxiety can overwhelm to the point where nothing gets done because we can't even focus the energy out of that anxious space to actually do something, right? So trying to be present as much as you can, interrupting that thought. When you want to stay focused on something, sometimes you have to interrupt that part of you that wants to keep drawing yourself away from it. You have to say, hey, I'm going to be present right now. I'm going to work on this for another 10 minutes. And anytime you feel yourself being pulled again, hey, I'm going to work on this for 10 minutes. Just keep bringing yourself to the present. Okay, isolation, especially if you have social anxiety. If you have social anxiety, it can lead to you wanting to isolate yourself. Okay, because it's hard for you to socialize. It's hard for you to be in certain spaces. You feel safer if you're just alone. You don't have to deal with the frustration of maybe people not understanding you. You don't want to have to explain yourself, right? You probably don't even know what to explain. You don't understand it. So it can lead to you being isolated. And you think you're the only person like this. You're the only one that thinks like this. Something is wrong with you. And it can lead to you not asking for help. All right. You kind of sit with it. You try to manage it on your own instead of saying, I actually need help with this. And the help is going to come for you in whatever way is best for you. That's where you also talk to your guides. You say, hey, I have an issue with anxiety. It interferes with my life this way. What are the best ways that I can gain the tools that's going to help me to process this feeling, this energy, this behavior? Literally, you just ask the universe and watch the answers come to you. Watch the people who show up to give it to you. Sometimes the only thing the universe is waiting for you to just ask. If you don't know, if you don't have the answers, just ask. And then trust it when it comes in to you as information. And of course, we talked about the overthinking, that anxiety can have your mind going a million miles a minute. And because you're so much in your head, you're constantly just running the gears in your brain, and it can create exhaustion. So anxiety can lead to overthinking, which could lead to extreme exhaustion because we're not taking those running thoughts and putting them down. Even if you can't put them down in any kind of structure, rough draft, just still put it down. Just get it out of your head and create space. All right. Another thing that it does, it releases hormones in the body that could be addictive. So when you're anxious, it also can create adrenaline. You're anxious about your job, you're anxious about your work. It can create some adrenaline in your body. You get addicted to that adrenaline feeling. And now, when you're actually able to relax and calm down, you can't, because now you're addicted to the feeling of anxiety. Yes, you can get addicted to feeling anxiety. Because now, when things get too calm, you feel like something's wrong. But you've been asking for the calm. And now that you get it, you still feel like something's wrong because your body is used to it. How can you tell if your body is used to anxiety? You ever have to go to work or do something and you have to do it very quickly, think quickly, talk quickly, respond quickly, typing emails, making calls, doing all these things? You go home, or before you even go home, you're driving. Now you have an opportunity to start relaxing, but you drive with that same anxiety. Wheeling through traffic, cutting people off, doing all this stuff. You get home. Let's say you have to cook. You're cooking, but you're cooking fast. Everything you're doing, you're cooking, you're dropping this, okay. You gotta do laundry. Everything is quick, quick, quick. Getting the laundry done. You gotta take a shower. Fast, fast, fast. You wanna hurry and get it. You see all of the stuff you've done with that anxious feeling, and these are all things that you could have used to slow down. You can actually try to drive slowly home. Drop the mileage down a little bit. Try to actually just enjoy your drive. Don't rush to cook. Don't rush to do your self-care. Don't rush to do your hair. Don't rush to get out of the shower. Really take moments to be present and enjoy what you're doing. Because then you're going to give yourself the narrative that you never have enough time. And that's not true. Once you start to be present, time starts to work differently for you. You never have enough time when you rush through everything. That's what gives you the feeling like you don't have enough time, because you're just rushing through everything. But slow down. In the spaces and the instances that you can slow down, slow down. Okay? When you're washing your hair, gently, slowly. When you're bathing, you're taking a bath, gently, slowly. You're doing your laundry, gently. Don't be flinging the clothes all the way to the back of the damn washer. You have to bring gentleness to your body, to your experience, all right? So that you can feel it. And you make the choice. If in this moment, in this experience, in this thing that I'm doing, do I want to bring calm and peace and gentleness to it? That's a choice. You have that choice. And that should make you feel good, because that means if you need to find that moment, you can create it. Okay? All right. It can lead to codependency. How does anxiety lead to codependency? Well, when we get so overwhelmed and so stressed, if we have someone around that can help us manage it, right? We end up depending on that person so much that now it almost becomes that person's job to help us manage the anxiety all the time. There's nothing wrong with having a partner that will help you sometimes, but you have to be able to manage anxiety on your own. So while you have support, you don't want to make somebody responsible for the feelings and the emotions that you have. Okay? Because then if that person can't show up for us, now we feel really alone and really isolated. Okay? So you always want to make sure that you have a support for yourself. You have support of others, but you don't rely solely on other people. And that will be helpful or a great way for that to actually work for you, to have support but not kind of abuse it, is to find the resources that you can use on your own. The practices that you can do, the deep breathing, the yoga, okay, the music, anything you can use to come back and be present. It also sends a message to your support team that I need you, but not all the time. But when I do need you, I know you're going to be there. All right. What else can cause anxiety is not feeling fulfilled in life. Sometimes when we're not fulfilled, no matter what you have, you still feel like there's something missing. That can lead us to an anxious state, because being able to be fully fulfilled in life brings a sense of peace. And if you feel like you're just not fulfilled, like you're just not where you are, where you want to be, we can have anxieties about that. That kind of ties in with the other one before of not being on your path. So if your anxiety comes from a sense of not being fulfilled, then you might want to look into, where am I not on my path? Where am I not aligned within myself, so that I can experience a life free of anxiety and have some peace? So that area of not feeling fulfilled is tied greatly to, how do I want to put this? In the area of your life that you're not really fulfilled, it's tied greatly to the feeling of, it lost me. It lost me. It's okay. That happens. Ain't going to sweat it. Keep going. Okay. So what are some physical symptoms, right, that can come from extreme anxiety? Nail biting, hair loss, rashes, allergies, big one, stomach problems, digestion issues, heartburn, a spaciness, a feeling like you're just not here. You hear people talk, but if they ask you, hey, what did I say? You can't repeat it. That's how you know you're not present. And there's a lot of other tics that people can have, this picking at the skin, pulling at eyebrows. When anxiety gets into these extreme cases, it starts to affect you physically, and the tics that you have and the restlessness that you have. So a good way to kind of exercise the anxiety in a physical way, especially if you're always jittery with your hands and your fingers, try to play music. Try to find something, a guitar. You don't even have to know what you're doing. Just draw, paint, shade, coloring books. All of these things, when the anxiety wants to express itself physically, if you don't give it something to do, especially where you feel it, usually in hands and feet, it now the fingers wanting to be busy and not having anything to do will start picking, 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 picking. All right. Those hands should be doing something productive. The feet. So you ever see the ones who tap the feet? Tap, 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 tap. You should be dancing. When your feet want to move and you have anxiousness in your body, you should be dancing. I'm serious. Dance by yourself, however you want to do it. But if you're the foot tapper with your anxiety, dancing would be very good for you. Very good for you. And if you're the anxious one with the hands, playing an instrument, painting, drawing, shading, coloring, anything that gets that anxious energy out. Okay. Hello, Robert, Carolina. It's good to see you. Yes, please don't forget to hit the like button. All right, how long have I been on? 54. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. All right. So what's gonna help you? Okay, we talked about the loose clothes. That's gonna help you. Music. That's why you see me come on here and I dance. That's me helping myself with my anxiety. It depends on what mood I'm in, the kind of music I listen to. Sometimes I feel R&B. Sometimes I feel classical. Sometimes I just want nature sounds. Sometimes I love my reggae. Sometimes I love my hip hop. It just depends on what mood I'm in. If I wake up and I'm just feeling like my day is off, music. And stay away from a lot of the negative news that's out there. Some of us, we're not built, that's not our realm, that's not our space. We're meant to tap in to the politics, see what's going on, come back out, make sure you're grounded in what you're supposed to be doing for the way you're supposed to help humanity. But if you can't dip in and out of the political arena and you notice that it's starting to take its toll on you, just leave it alone. Because if that's not your path anyway, ain't nothing over there for you. You see what I'm saying? Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane in the way that's gonna keep you aligned, happy, joyful, loving, hopeful. If you start engaging in anything and it starts stripping you of that sense of safety, security, love, freedom, sovereignty, it's not your realm. You're getting pulled into a realm that's not yours. You always make sure you ground yourself in your element. Okay? And if the news and the politics, if that's not your element and it's bringing your vibes down, you got to give it a rest. Give it a break. Tap in when you need to tap in to know what's going on, but don't stay there too long. Okay? Play your instrument, ground, music. Another thing they told me is sit with your element: fire, water, earth, or wind. Which one of those feels like it would bring you peace? Would it be being surrounded by mountains, having your hands and feet in the sand or the dirt? Does that feel appealing to you? Then you might have to surround yourself with the earth element. The water, do you like the oceans, the lake, the ponds? If you like to just hear water trickling and moving, be around your water element. Have your water element with you, especially if you love the sound of water. Get those little fountains you could have in your home that trickle that water sound. Just hearing that in the background, or if you could set up a little one at work, if you could just hear that in the background, you're going to be surprised at how different your days are because you've put yourself in your element. If you're a water being, you got to have pictures of water, sounds of water. If you're an earth being, you got to have pictures of the earth, have the earth with you, a little pot with dirt, grow you something, pictures of mountain scenes, you know what I mean? Deserts. Are you the wind? Do you like the sound of the wind? Do you like to feel the wind? If ever you are having a very anxious state, you need to go outside and just feel that breeze on you if you're that wind element. Or you might just need to have a little fan. If you're constantly a wind person, have you the little fan with you, little travel fan, and just take that with you. When you're feeling your anxiousness and your stress, click it on and just it's almost for you like the wind person, the wind element. The wind is not just hitting your face and your body, it's blowing through you and taking with it all the negative energy out of your body. That's why when you can breathe, if you're out there on a windy day, you take that deep breath and release, it feels like something just pulled out of your whole body. It's almost like the wind takes the negative energy away from you. So be in your wind element if that's you. And fire. I love the fire element. I always have a candle burning in my house. If you can't have candles wherever you are, get an image of a fireplace or a bonfire. Draw it, cut it out of a magazine, whatever you got to do. Surround yourself with the image of your element because that'll bring you calm and that'll bring you some peace. Another thing you could do if you're easily into the anxiety, change your sheets and your clothes, especially if you've had a negative or heavy experience. So let's say you go somewhere, you're wearing some clothes, you maybe wear your clothes more than once, but you've had an experience in these clothes it created negativity for you. Put those clothes away to get washed because fabric holds energy. Same thing for your sheets. If you're having nightmares, bad night sweats, you're tossing, turning, you can't sleep. Sometimes you just need to feel fresh, clean sheets on you. That relaxes you. Or you could put essential oil drops on your sheets. But for some of us, the sheets and the clothes hold that energy, and we sometimes need to change it more often to feel relaxed and comfortable with it. Especially if you're that person, you love smelling fresh sheets, like sheets fresh out the dryer. Then yeah, when your sheets lose that feel for you, make sure you're changing them. Meditate always. I've had to meditate now twice a day. This energy is it's different, right? So I found that I've had to meditate now in the morning and at night just to get some grounding. So keep your meditation up. Keep your space clutter free. If you have anxiety, you can't leave your place messy. You know why? How many times you walk past and you're like, oh, I need to wash those dishes. Oh, I need to pick that up. Oh, I need to clean that. But you don't do it. So every time you walk around and you see that thing that needs to get picked up or cleaned or straightened, if you don't do it, you're creating a cycle that every time you see it, you're going to get anxious about it. You're going to get frustrated about it. And sometimes that's the addiction to the anxiety, is that you don't do it so that you can feel the anxiety, so that you can have a familiar feeling. So one at a time, one at a time. Anything you see around your house that's bugging you, that light that you said you're going to fix, the bulb's been out forever, the handle that's broken on the cabinet, the pot handle that's wobbly, the trash the can that you said you're going to rinse out, listen, tackle it. Because for as long as it sits there, it's going to increase your anxiety for you. Okay. They talked about being selective with your friends, music, movies. All right. So make sure your friends and the people you keep around you don't cause your anxiety. If it does, you got to limit your time with that. Music, when you're in an anxious state, always make sure you choose music that can soothe the savage beast. Okay. Make sure you have a go-to playlist that you're like, all right, when my anxiety is at this level, this is my playlist that's going to help me. So when you're not anxious in that really bad state, put the resources together that are going to be there for you when you do get overwhelmed. So the playlist is already made, right? You already have your aromatherapy set up. Now you just grab it. Grab and go. All right. And always don't be afraid to do what your guides are going to tell you need to do now to ease your anxiety. So let's say your guides are saying you need to go hug a tree. You need to walk outside barefoot. You need to go to the beach this weekend. When your guidance, when you ask the questions of how you can get help for this stuff, and then your guides show up and tell you, okay, this is what I'm going to want you to do. And you know deep down that's your guidance. This ain't just your mind going here. You can't be afraid to do it. So you can't be afraid to go hug a tree because you're concerned about what people are going to think, but your guides are telling you this is the thing that's going to help you with your anxiety. You can't be more concerned about how you're going to look. That's why walking this path, you're going to have to get brave, okay, to be who you really are. Because being who you really are is going to allow you to follow the guidance that's going to help to reduce all of this stress and anxiety and fear. And you can't have the medicine, the antidote right there at your fingertips, and you're not going to do it because you're afraid of what somebody might think. Okay, so you spare yourself being laughed at, but you're still stuck with the anxiety. You see? You can't be afraid to embrace who you are and what you need. And if people think that's weird, and if they don't get it, that's okay, because no matter what they think, you're getting better. And that's what's important. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you. I appreciate everybody that has come by and spent some time with me. I hope you learned something. I did. Starling, thank you. Robert, Carolina, Big 1111, Antonia, Love Source. See how far I can go. High Priestess Jazz. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good info. Good. I'm glad when it can make you rethink things. And that's when you start sharing, when you receive information for yourself and you test it out and then it works for you and then you share it with other people. It's not for them to do it exactly how you do it. It's for them to say, damn, she followed her breadcrumbs. It's working for her. Let me follow mine. That's why in the spiritual community, people make the mistake is when they do something that works for them. They are so sure that that's exactly what's going to work for everybody else. It's just your truth. You're not meant to share your truth to tell everybody else, now this is how you got to do it. No, it's your truth. It worked for you. Your role now is to encourage people to find their truth, not to follow yours. Because we're like plants. Some are full shade, some are half sun, some are full sun. You can't put a shaded plant in full sun. You see what I'm saying? So you got to know, when you listen to people talk about what works for them, just pull what resonates for you and apply that to your life. It's not everything they do that will work for you, because you don't want to take away from your sovereignty. And no one should encourage you to relinquish your sovereignty to follow them. Never, never, never. Because we all have our version of a truth. My role is to encourage you to find yours by showing you that when I follow mine, it works for me. All right. Robert says, small steps are greater than leaps. Good health and encouragement to everyone. Namaste. Namaste, Brother Robert. We're going to leave it like that. I love you, Big 11. Love you guys. If you're watching on the replay, I love and appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for kicking it with me. New subscribers, old subscribers. And listen, I'm going to start making copies of all this art, okay, and selling them. And how I make my copies is I don't put it on paper. I create a copy and put it on canvas so you can hang it just like I hang it. The only difference will be mine will be the original, yours will be a copy, right? But I'm gonna sign it, all right? And the difference between my originals and my copies is I use a lot of neon glow in the dark paint on my originals. So my original pieces they tend to glow in the dark because I usually use some kind of neon paint. The copies won't have that ability, but for now I'm holding on to my originals and I'm gonna start selling some copies. So if you're interested, I'm also gonna start selling copies of the pictures in my posts. So all those pictures that I have created, all the birds, the beautiful women, the beautiful elements, anything that I've put in that post. If you like a particular photo from anything that I've posted in my community post, I'm going to start turning those into canvases as well. So you can hang that art if you want to. So look out for that. If you're interested, send me an email, let me know. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your day. Don't get stressed out. Turn off the TV. Go have fun.